Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. Virtually in front of me, I have the lovely Sara Thomas, and she is going to introduce herself by sharing who she is, what she does, and why she does what she does. So Sara, welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast.
Hi, Tony. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Yes, my name is Sara Thomas. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. I am a toddler mom. My daughter is almost 3.5, and I have been a personal trainer since 2010. I went to Mizzou. I have a degree in nutrition and exercise physiology. And I actually, when I was in college, I got my certification, my NASM CPT when I was in college. So I've been a trainer for a very long time, but I love it. And it's my passion, and I love helping people, and I love to help people feel good and feel strong and confident in their bodies, because there's nothing more empowering than that, right? So that's what I do. And my husband works in Major League Baseball, so I spend a lot of time on the road. Been traveling with him since 2014. And when we got pregnant, I continued traveling. After I had my daughter, we continued traveling. She did her first trip at 6 weeks old, and she hasn't stopped traveling since. Obviously, COVID has slowed like our whole lives down for us, but generally we're on the road probably about 200 nights a year. So that's my life. And then on top of that, I am a IPE Bikini Pro competitor. So I do all of my bikini prep on the road. So yeah, we're like on the go family. That's my life.
Which is why we're having you here, because yes, we all have been under pause and we've had to slow down, and we haven't been traveling so much, but fortunately things are starting to open. I know my clients personally are doing like little weekend getaways and road trips, and although maybe not anyone's flying, I still think it's important for us to talk about for the future, to be hopeful. Travel tends to be something that is a barrier for a lot of people. And they usually will say, I do really good like Monday through Friday, but when it comes to weekend and travel, I just can't get a handle on it. I just can't find ways to make it healthy. I can't find those foods that work for me. But you do a really great job at that. So I know we were talking earlier about how for you, this has been like a huge transition because you're used to on the go. And for you, on the go is like super easy because that's your life and you've made it your lifestyle to be healthy eating on the go. And now you've been forced to kind of slow down. So you've had to kind of like, just like everybody, right? We all had to kind of change our routine and our schedules, but you did it kind of the opposite. And so I thought that was really, really interesting. All that to say, we're all in this together. Although we've experienced it differently, it's all affecting us. And so I'm really, really excited to hear kind of your perspective on kind of maybe how you handled this change. And then also just going back to as things start to reopen, I would love to kind of go one by one by talking about like, how do you navigate a road trip? How do you navigate flying? How do you navigate like a hotel stay? So that way people can see that there are healthy options when they're traveling.
Yes. So funny that you say that, because like for a lot of my clients and people I know, when COVID hit and everything shut down, they were like, oh yes, like now I can be home, I can cook, I can work out, like I have this time, I'm at home. And for us, we were like, oh shit, like we're home. So what does this mean for us? You know, we have such a good schedule on the go. We know how to live that way and we know how to navigate that. And then, when we came home for this, it was actually super challenging, especially for me. You know, we were all in our house. We're never at our house. And if we are, just like to do laundry and pack up and leave again. So I had to adjust my schedule around like actually scheduling time in the day for my workout and then for my husband's workout. You know, we have a daughter, like a toddler, so she needs to be we have to be around her. We can't just go work out and let her play in her room. Like she wants to be with us and do stuff. So we had to make a schedule for that. And then as far as the eating goes, at first we had like bought all this food to like cook with, and we don't usually cook very often. So it was like kind of getting me way off track. It wasn't that we were cooking bad. It was just that we were like at home eating all day long, you know? And then at night I was super stressed, especially when COVID first hit. You know, it's like the world is ending. What does this mean? I have a daughter, I have a life, you know, just like everyone else. Mm-hmm. So I was like eating like ice cream and drinking wine because I was like, I'm depressed and stressed, you know? Mm-hmm. So like after a few weeks, more than a few weeks of that, I kind of reeled it back in and kind of adjusted to the new norm. But it was a huge, huge adjustment for me outside of my normal lifestyle to really slow down and be at home and deal with all of that. It was very, very challenging. Mm-hmm. So,
and I'm really grateful that you shared that, because I think a lot of people, you know, look up to personal trainers, nutrition coaches, like you have competed in bikini competitions. And so I'm sure people prejudge and look at you and figure like, oh, she has it all figured out. Like she doesn't struggle, but no, we all have struggles, right? It's just about adjusting and finding what works best and realizing that something that worked in one setting might not work in this setting. And so, yeah, I think like any human being, we're all human. We're going to go through some periods where it looks a little wonky, right? So like the eating felt a little out of control. The emotions kind of came in. That's so normal. And then you got to this place where you're just like, okay, unfortunately, this isn't going away. Like this is actually what our life is going to be looking like for at least the next few months. So, you know, if I want to feel better, I need to adjust so that I can make that happen. And you did a really great job with that. So, yeah.
And, you know, part of it too was like, oh, we're home as a family. Let's make cinnamon rolls or bake a cake. Like, let's do fun family stuff that we don't usually get to do all the time. And a lot of that was revolving around food. And, you know, at nights I was like, well, you know, me and my husband are actually at home together. We don't have a ton of work to do. Like, let's enjoy it. Let's get a pizza and have some wine. And it was all fun and dandy. It was like a vacation that was not ending, you know? And then like after, I mean, very quickly, I was starting to feel really crummy. Like in the mornings, I was feeling like crap. And then, you know, that's like a revolving door. Like, you know that, and you have clients that deal with that. Everyone deals with that. You eat like crap, you feel like crap. So then you eat like crap. So after a while, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to get back to what makes me feel good. And yeah, so that was a really hard challenge, but back on track now, feeling good.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's so, okay, I'm going to let people know that we've recorded this before and that the recording didn't, I was like, I'm not going to say it. There's no point, but here we are. Unfortunately, Sarah and I had previously recorded this last week and my computer is so old and it didn't save. And so we're praying that it works this time. I have a 4 terabyte drive thing that apparently like people are like, you don't need that. I'm like, well, apparently I do because my computer's very old. So anyways, all that to say, our last conversation I loved because the general theme kept coming up, which is like, it's all about feeling good. So going on vacation, we've discussed like when you go on vacation and you travel, you know, sometimes it is just for you to just have that like week of not caring about what you eat and really enjoying those things. And that can be okay if it's in like a time capsule, right? But if that's like your everyday, like you're not going to feel good, right? And even in a short period of time, sometimes if you overdo it, like you're really not going to feel good. So really just the overall theme last time, which I hope we can get you guys to hear this time, which is really just if it's really the driving factor or the driving choices behind your behaviors is really just to feel good in your skin, to have energy, to feel like you are in charge of your food choices, and just to like not feel like the food is just controlling you. right? So that was like the overarching theme. So I hope that comes across today.
Yes, and I'm so glad you told them that we already recorded this, because like so many things in my head, I'm like, did I already say this, or was this on last time? But no, honestly, and like with my clients, like you just said, I'm a big supporter of, if you want to go on vacation and enjoy yourself and not work out for a week and enjoy the food and spend time with your family and whatever that looks like to you, do it. I will never tell somebody to not enjoy themselves on vacation, or if they need a break or anything like that. But on the flip side, if you want to go on vacation and you want to feel good, and if you want to wake up in the mornings and work out, and that's what feels good to you mentally, physically, if this is your time to do that kind of stuff, and you need a plan for on the road, I will support you in that too. I'm going to share with you all the ways that you can stay on track while you're away from your home. But it's, I've been on vacation where I throw everything out the window and I enjoy myself and I have a blast. I drink, I eat, and all of that fun stuff. But I'll be totally honest with you, in the mornings, I don't wake up feeling good. I brought all these cute little outfits and I'm bloated and uncomfortable. So it feels good to feel good. So I support anybody in that. So yes. And all the things that I say about my life, and I'll get into all of this, but just because it works for me is not like a golden plan that you need to follow. It's what feels good for my body. I've been trial and erroring for years, and it continues to evolve as I evolve. So what's working for me right now is totally different than 6 months ago. So just be aware, and be aware of that on everybody's social media and everything like that too. It's got to be what works for you. So Amen. No, so true. So true. All right, let's get into it, because you have had an experience in every single travel scenario multiple times. Like, this is your norm, is travel. So let's go kind of one by one. Let's, I guess, start with road trip, and then we can go in however direction. But so like, how does someone successfully, if they do choose that they want to feel good and they want to make better choices while they're on a road trip, what are some tips that you have? Okay, so in the car, we have done cross-country driving so many times, just the two of us and also with our daughter. So I feel like it's super pro at all of this stuff. But my first tip for in the car is to hydrate. And I think that this one seems so obvious, but also I've been the person in the car that I'm like, well, I don't want to stop to pee every hour, but get over it, plan it into your trip, hydrate while you're driving. And also those stops to go pee are also really good to get up and move your muscles for a few minutes and let some things flush and move around. You don't want to be sitting for that long, especially if you're in a car. You have the power to do whatever you want and stop and this and that. So hydrate a lot. And you're probably going to want to drink a lot of coffee, and that's great to stay awake, and I get that. But also coffee is just a diuretic, so it's going to just, whatever you're hydrating in, it's just going to flush out even faster. So keep hydrating extra on top of anything like that. And then also, okay, so when I go to gas stations, I will do trips where I prep and bring all my food and snacks and everything like that. And I support you in that. But also when we stop at a gas station, I'm like, I want to get a gas station treat. Like, I want a snack. It's fun. I don't know. Even after all the trips we do, I still do that. So I have some go-to snacks that I get. Like, I'll get a Muscle Milk, like protein shake. Always check on your shakes on the go that they have at least 20 grams of protein and less than 3 to 5 carbs. Look at the label, because a lot of them will have like 30 something grams of sugar. And if you're going to have that, you might as well just eat like a Snickers bar or something, honestly. So check the sugar content. And then protein bars. I love all the bars at the gas station. But again, check the label. Make sure the sugar is low. The carbs are going to be higher on a bar than a shake. That's not a bad thing. Carbs are not bad. It's a meal replacement, essentially. So check it out and see what you're eating. I picked up some bars that I'm like, whoa, this is like 450 calories. And I know that we're going to eat in an hour, like an actual meal. So I don't need that. So just be aware of the bars that you're picking up. I also get pork rinds, which I feel are like a secret gas station treat because pork rinds are super high in protein and super low in carbs for like, it tastes like chips, but it's no carbs essentially. It is a little high in fat. It's animal fat. So if that's your thing, which is my thing right now, just keep an eye on the fat content, but it's a very good snacky, salty treat in the car. They've got like packaged pickles at the gas station, hard-boiled eggs and fruit and stuff like that you brought up last time. All that good stuff to get, like real food at gas stations now. I always get like 0-calorie Gatorades, Powerades. Sometimes I'll get like a diet soda. Not the healthiest, but something that's a special treat for the road. So things like that I love and that I'm always looking at. There's a lot of good options in gas stations that you can pick out. Also wanted to say that gas stations, especially like the bigger ones like Quick Trip and wherever you live, like Sheetz, is that the one that's up there?
I don't know of that one, but we have 7-Eleven.
Yeah, so like the big name ones, they'll have microwaves that you can use for free. So if you pack like something that needs to be heated up or like oats or whatever, your chicken or whatever you brought in the car, you can just heat up at the gas station. And all of these tips are also so good for just people that live on the go anyway. So if you're somebody that meal preps your food and you have to drive from A to B during the day, stop into Quick Trip and heat it up. Like they are not going to charge you. You don't have to buy anything. It's a gas station. So that's like a really good secret tip about big gas stations. And then also pack in the car, you have extra room, right? So if you have some necessities, that make you feel good when you get to your destination and you're there for a few days or whatever. If you know that like you're going to eat a lot of oats. I always say oats, but they're like the easiest thing to bring on the road. But like oats or wraps or protein powder, things like that are part of your plan that make you feel good, pack that in the car. You have the room. You don't need to buy that stuff when you get there. I'll portion out my protein powder in I'll take as many scoops as however many days I'm on the road and I'll put it in a Ziploc bag. Things like that you can bring in the car. And I always pack in the car like my plasticware necessities that I can bring in the hotel room, like plates, bowls, silverware, things like that. You can bring actual plates and stuff like that too and rinse them out in your room, but I just do the throwaway stuff. All that stuff you can bring and prepare in advance. It doesn't take up too much room in your car and just pack it up. So feel like that was like a ton of information.
That was great. I'm just gonna like recap just to make sure people are listening and they heard what I heard, which is basically number one, if you look for healthy options, you'll find them. So a lot of people hear gas station food and they automatically think probably all the pizza and the roll, those taquito rolls or something, and chips and candy and stuff. But it's those are there, and soda and iced tea and all that stuff that is there. But there's also healthy option there. They also have we said that fresh fruit and yogurt. There's usually refrigerated items too. So that way, if you don't pack a cooler, you can get it when you stop there. So all that to say that if you're looking for something, you will find it. The variety has definitely increased. And then you also mentioned packing stuff. And I always tell people you can never be over prepared. It's okay. So if you see the proteins, you pack your protein powder or you pack maybe bars that you already have at home that you like, and you bring those and you don't eat them and you end up bringing them home. That's okay. At least you knew they were there just in case. And I find very often it's usually a really clutch thing because sometimes things don't go as planned and you're really happy that you don't become very ravenous and hangry and you happen to have your bar with you and you can just keep moving. So those are really, really great tips. So you mentioned sometimes you'll bring plasticware or you'll bring your regular Tupperware or dishes and plates and stuff for the hotel. So how about we transition to choosing healthy choices when you get to a hotel? I feel like a lot of people could benefit from that.
I also wanted to touch on too, you reminded me of fast food restaurants and things like that, food on the go. There are good options you can get in drive-thrus and restaurants and things like that when you're traveling. One of my favorite go-tos is McDonald's Egg White Delight, but I'll ask for no butter and no cheese on it. Okay, so there are things like that you can request to be made specifically, and they're used to that, and it's not annoying, and they can do it for you. And they've got salads, and you can get a chicken sandwich and not eat the buns, or whatever your plan is, you can make it work in drive-thrus and places like that. So don't be afraid to go eat out, and to, if your kid wants a Happy Meal, like, don't be afraid to get something there. Like, it is okay. You can do it.
Totally.
I don't recommend it often, but on the go, it's fine.
Right. Exactly. I think that's a really, really good point. And I never even thought of like requesting. I think you think of McDonald's or like fast food and you automatically assume like, oh, it's not great for you. Or if I am going to get there, then I have to find like the salad because that's the safest thing. We never think of like the fact that, yeah, you can modify just like you go to a restaurant, you can modify it. And just because it's not on the menu, it doesn't hurt to ask. It definitely doesn't hurt to ask. So that's a really, really great point. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Okay. So, hotels. Okay. So I always call before I go. We stay at Marriott chains. So if you're a frequent traveler, I highly recommend signing up for Marriott Rewards because they've got such a wide range of hotels from super cheap to very high end. And you can build up points so fast. So anyways, that's a whole nother thing with like those kind of tips. But so for hotels, so for example, the higher end hotels have less amenities in your room. So the higher end hotels will rarely have a microwave nowadays. Sometimes they don't even have a fridge, like the JWs and things like that don't have mini fridges in your room. So with that being said, though, as you do gain points, and if you are a frequent traveler listening, you do know the secret then that Marriott has on their top floor. They've got a secret concierge room for members only and frequent travelers, and it's always stocked with like healthy snacks and fruit. They'll do like a healthy dinner option, and then in the morning you have breakfast, and it's all good, clean, healthy food, honestly. So we take advantage of that for those extra perks for like complimentary meals. But on the flip side, the low end hotels have like the Residence Inn, they'll have like full kitchens, and you can use like an actual stove, an oven, full-size fridge, microwave, all that stuff is there too. So you can plan around that. If you're staying somewhere in between those and you're not sure, just call. So I always call and ask, does my room have a mini fridge? Does it have a microwave? If they say no, I request one. They've got them. They will put them in your room. So do that. And there's no shame in that game. Just call and ask. And if they say, like, if it's a busy weekend and the microwaves or whatever are already being used or requested, no problem. Ask where their microwave is for guests. Sometimes they're in like the laundry room. Sometimes they're in the room, the little marketplace where you can shop. So be prepared and kind of work around that. We travel with our toddler, and if she's like napping, now that she's older, it's not as big of a deal, but when she was little, I didn't need to take her out of the room all the time for things like this. It was kind of a bigger hassle than what it was worth, but be prepared. If you know that you can't have your microwaved oats for breakfast or whatever that day, like, get something else in your room that can replace it that's a similar layout to whatever your diet that you're on is asking for. So a wrap or bread or something like that. There's options to do that. So call in advance. I also always look at photos of the gym on the app. Okay, so you can see what they have. Some lower end hotels will have one treadmill and a few dumbbells. Maybe some don't even have that. So plan your workouts around that. If you know that it's important to get your workouts in and you need to do XYZ while you're on the road, bring resistance band, bring a TRX. There's a lot of lightweight travel stuff that's very small and compact that you can easily bring, mini bands, booty bands, things like that. And then the higher end hotels, they'll have a lot of equipment, sometimes full-size gyms in their hotels. So that's a perk if you're doing something like competing or something and you need a lot of equipment, it's there. So use the extra fee, whatever it costs there, to use that. That way you don't have to go buy a gym membership when you're there, which I'll talk about that too. But okay, and then
many good tips.
So many tips. So one of my like super secret things that my husband and I always do is the first thing we do when we get in town is we'll go to the grocery store. So we will, especially if we arrive early or whatever, and I'll talk about that when I talk about flying, but if we arrive early or whatever, we'll call and check in, make sure our room is ready or being worked on, and then we'll go to the grocery store. And that's where we can get like everything that we need that our room can, if it's a fridge or a microwave, whatever, we'll stock up on that stuff. That way there's just no excuses. Everything we have is in the room. You don't spend the day getting super hungry like you do when you travel sometimes. Then you're just like ravenous by the time it's time to eat dinner or whatever. Like, we'll have all of our go-to snacks right there. I also want to say that when I travel with my husband, it's 90% of the time for work for him. So sometimes we land or we get in, he has to drop us off at the hotel and he leaves. It's not like sunshine and rainbows where we're there for vacation all the time. Sometimes my daughter and I are in the hotel room for 12 hours while he's at work. So in that case, if he has to drop us off and go, I'll get an Instacart order ready and they'll drop it off for you, and they'll bring it up to your room even. So there's a lot of options that you can do, and you don't need to make excuses around the food. So you can certainly have all of that right in your room, and it makes it so easy, especially with kids too. All the snacks, get them there so you don't spend a fortune at the market downstairs. So
that was a good point. That's a really good point. And I think we mentioned this last time, and we definitely, I think we could address it again. But the point where we talked about like airport food and like how it's so pricey, and like, yeah, like that's the thing. Like, it's not that it's not available. Like, you will always find healthy food available. Like, but unfortunately, people do charge more for convenience. And so I think that was a good point. It's like, yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, you can buy it. But I think if you plan ahead, you're also not only are you going to almost like guarantee that you have those healthy choices, but you'll be less resistant to ordering something that maybe is like literally $10 or $15 more than the less healthy option, because you kind of did it in a smarter way. So that's a good point.
Yes. And if I know, like if I'm in competition prep and I know that like I have certain macros I need to hit, I will spend the time to create like a meal plan in my app that hits my macros, and I'll stick to that plan while I'm on the road to keep it very simple and very easy. I'll have the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner basically for a few days. And I don't usually eat like that. I track macros for the flexibility in my diet. But you know, I know on the road to keep it super simple, fast, and easy so I can feel good and stay on track with my goals. But like I always say, when it comes to like bikini prep and things like that, it's like an extreme, right? So I have to travel with my food scale. I travel with my measuring cups, things like that, that the average person does not need to do. That's not normal eating behavior, to be totally honest. Yes, it helps you reach your goals, but it's very extreme and it's not a full-time way to live. I don't live that way year round, but I make it work when I need to. So
thank you for saying that. Yeah, I think that's like, because you're competing in a sport and you're signing up, and you just having that awareness, I think, is a game changer. So I'm glad that you said that, because I know a lot of people who do listen to my podcast, a lot of my clients, you know, for them, that would be super triggering and it would just spiral into something very unhealthy mentally. So I think that I'm glad that you said that. I think you recognize it's a sport, and so you do it when you need to do it. But I think also, but we could also kind of riff off that in the sense of, sometimes I will, even with my clients, like sometimes it just feels better having some sort of a plan. It's like a moment where you're taking time for you. So I don't think it hurts to kind of decide like what it is you think you're going to have maybe for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner sort of a thing. The difference becomes like, you know, it's different if you're traveling for like work, or like it's not, you know, work versus fun sort of a thing. And then just having the awareness that like, if you're competing, obviously, like if there's a will, there's a way. It's like there's non-negotiable, like it's a have to. But if you're just like trying to be healthy and you're trying to stay on plan and not, you know, you don't want to come back gaining some weight, you want to be able to maintain or whatever, you also have to know that like it is challenging and that it doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that being okay with knowing that it's not going to be is helpful.
Yes. And just anybody that's listening, that's wherever you're at in your journey, just be aware of the bikini stuff you see online. It's super trendy right now, and it's a sport, and it's intense, and it's not the healthiest thing to do. So if it's something that you're interested in or curious about, you can always ask me any questions. And I just think that I don't think there's enough transparency about the whole thing on Instagram. And some people are very open about it, but some people, I don't know. I just think that it's just very intense, and I highly recommend talking to somebody before you even start taking tips and things like that people are doing. Like I said, I don't live that way year round. I don't use my food scale year round. I don't weigh myself year round. So just be aware. It's not maintainable. That's for sure. So.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about flying.
Yes. Okay. So one of my number one tips for flying is to pick the earliest flight you can. So there's a few reasons behind this, but one is early flights rarely get canceled or delayed. Now, don't come at me if you specifically pick one and then it gets canceled. But honestly, all the flying we do, I've rarely had any delays with our early flights. I mean, the plane is usually already there and it's the first one to go. So that's like a number one tip, especially if my husband has to be there for work for a certain time, like a game or whatever. Like we take the first flight out. It's better to be early than late when it involves work and things like that. We're not flying for fun, you know? And also with a baby, when you fly early, it's best. I mean, most kids are their easiest early in the morning, at least for my daughter. Like she declines, her behavior declines as the day declines. So early in the morning, she's a total joy. So we do that. And also maybe 2 years now or so, I forget, been doing intermittent fasting. And I do this for myself because it feels good. It's not a magic tool to weight loss or anything like that. I'm not losing weight doing it. I do it because it feels good for my body. So I don't usually eat until about 11 or 12 every day. So that way, when I fly early, I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to worry about what I need to eat. I'll have a coffee at the airport. That's fine. So that's what works for me. Okay. So just to say that. But I also do flights at other times and things when I wasn't intermittent fasting where I did eat. Okay. So I have a lot of tips on that. But bring an empty water bottle through security. Okay. Bring a big empty water bottle. I always do like at least a liter, try to bring like a 50-ounce bottle. And then I just fill it up right when I get through security. Water is so expensive at the airport. So when you're traveling with a family, everybody brings their own water bottle. Okay. It saves like literally $30. So we fill it up when we get through and stay hydrated. Now I will say that when I travel with my daughter, I don't love to get up to go pee on the airplane often because sometimes she'll fall asleep on me. And if she does, that's like the magic time. And I don't move because I want her to sleep on the airplane. So I personally will usually kind of wait to actually start drinking my water until I land. But when I have a big thing packed of it, then right when I land, I can start chugging it down and start getting hydrated. Because when you fly, your body holds on to all kinds of extra water. It's crazy. So, and also if you're tracking your weight, do not weigh yourself the day after you fly because your weight is just up. You're just holding water. It's crazy. So you got to drink more water to flush out the water that your body's holding on to. It thinks that like you're dehydrated and you're not going to get water for a while. So it like suctions up everything and holds on to it. So hydrate and flush that out and get things moving as soon as you land or whatever. Pack your own snacks if you have a plan to stick to and if you want to save some money, like you mentioned. So nuts and protein bars, protein powder, things you can bring through security, peanut butter packets, almond butter packets. You can bring that stuff through. Fruit, all kinds of stuff like that can fit in your bag. It just makes it easier. There's a lot of stuff you can buy at the airport. There's a lot of healthy options, especially nowadays, especially at the big airports. But like Tony said, it is a little bit pricey. So plan on that. Yes.
I think if you're checking a bag, it's probably easier to pack more in your suitcase and stuff like that. But either way, I think it definitely doesn't hurt to, like we said earlier, just be prepared and just think about like, what can you fit?
Yes. And I think a lot of people don't really know the things that you can bring through TSA. So like I'll have some people ask me, like clients, random stuff like, yeah, you can bring it through, you know? But I have had some sad moments where I've brought like a jar of peanut butter. Like for some reason, I always forget about the jar of peanut butter. And my husband are always like, can we bring this? Yeah, we can bring it. And it gets thrown away every time. So I remember now, like you can't
just do the packets. You could do the packets because they're portioned, but yeah. Especially because you probably do the natural peanut butter where the oil separates. So there's more liquid.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they throw it away every time. But But like protein powder, you can absolutely bring. And if you bring a shaker bottle, you can just fill it up with water when you get through and add scoop of protein or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff you can bring through.
I do like oatmeal packets. You know, like, you know how some, you know, the ones that just don't have added sugar, they're just already pre-portioned. I find those to be really great because like one thing I do a lot is my protein powder with my oats, and that's like a standard breakfast for me. So like if the hotel or wherever I'm at has a microwave, I just do the scoop of the protein powder, the packet of the oats, and some water. Or if I'm able to have a refrigerator with like unsweetened almond milk, I'll do that, heat that up. And it's like a perfect, it's something that I know that I have normally. And there might be so many variables, like wherever I'm at, that I want to at least have a couple things that are familiar to my body. So those are like, that's like my go-to. So it's like
kind of thing. Like I keep talking about oats and protein powder too. Like I always travel with that stuff. And the pre-packaged ones, I cannot think of what they're called, but there's like this 100-calorie pack that is just so good, and it's flavored. It used to be called Fit Oats or something stupid like that. It's not called that anymore. But always look at the labels. There's a lot of good options out there for stuff like that I think people disregard as like, oh, that you can't have that. That's bad. Not really anymore. Like check it out and see what's on there and see what fits your plan, whatever it is that makes you feel good that you're doing. And the last thing about the airports I wanted to say is to walk. I know that seems so obvious, but sometimes I get to the airport, especially for an early flight, and I'm just like exhausted, and I sit down. But then like in my head, I'm like, shoot, I should walk for a little while. Just walk around, look at some stuff, get your legs moving, because you are about to sit on the flight for 3, 4, however many hours. And you are kind of stuck there. So just walk, get some things moving, and then you can sit and read and do all that stuff that you had planned in your free time. I love to fly. So it's so relaxing. Yes, it's so relaxing.
Ever since I started working from home like full time, and like I actually love working in an airplane because you literally have, I don't pay for Wi-Fi. I don't do any of that, like where I need to just like write or like plan my week or like just like not be interrupted. I actually really love that aspect, but like all that other stuff I don't like. I'm very anxious because I have a history of like booking the wrong flights, and I'm not the best traveler. I'm working on it. It's fine. I have to, because it's like part of my lifestyle now, but pre-COVID. But so I tend to have like a lot of anxiety, but I'm getting better where it's like, I'll plan, like, you know how they say go like 2 hours before, like I'm there 3 hours before. Like I rather know that like I'm through security, I'm not going to miss my flight, like all of those things. All that to say, I don't love it. But there are parts of it that I'm learning to love, like being able to work without interruptions, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay, this has been so good. Did we go over, what else? Did we go over everything? Or is there one more?
There's one more. I wanted to talk about gyms and workouts when you actually get to your destination.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, so some things that a lot of people don't know, I think, but a lot of gyms, like the big, like actual full gyms, not studios, will give you a 3, 5, 7-day pass to try it out and see if it's something that you want to purchase, right? So always utilize that. And there have been times where I have had to fib and say that like I'm moving to town and I want to try out your gym and I don't have a local address, but I'm moving here. And yes, shame on me because that's a lie, but also my husband and I travel year round and I can't afford to pay. Some gyms will charge you like $50 for a week pass. So there are ways around it, and that's, my whatever. So try it out. And usually you can fill it out online and things like that, or you can call and talk to them and they can give you complimentary pass. And then studios like yoga studios, cycling, Pilates, like all those specialty, boxing, things like that, they'll do first class free. That's pretty standard across the board. So if you're traveling without kids and you have the flexibility and time to like try fun stuff for different workouts, highly recommend doing them, popping into different studios, especially if it's your actual vacation time with your husband or whatever. Like, it's fun to try out new workout classes. It's empowering and invigorating, and it feels good. It's a great way to start your day or whatever. So go do a class together and try something that you've never done before, and pop in a boxing class or a hot yoga or something and do something fun like that, especially if it's free. I highly, highly recommend it. And that's the time to do it when you're on the road. Also, in your room, you have options too. So if you travel with a toddler like me, sometimes I'm stuck in the room and I have to get it done in there. So I'll do Beachbody workouts or YouTube workouts, body weight stuff that you can do in your room. Actually feels really good, and they're usually pretty short and sweet. So you can do like a 20-minute Shanti, whatever, get your butt kicked, move on with your day, get it done. Sometimes I do that because I have to when I'm like competing, and sometimes I just do it because it feels good. It's part of my day to work out. It's my time. And if that means that I have to do it while my daughter's running around the hotel room, I don't care. I need to get it in, and it's part of what makes me feel good. It's my self-care. So I have done that many times. And I think working out on the road is something that people, it's like kind of a joke, right? Like, who goes to the gym on vacation? Haha, crazy people. But honestly, no. So if it's something that you have to do to feel good, or it's part of your plan, or it's whatever is making you feel good, do it. Wake up early when your family's sleeping and get it done. No shame in that if that's what makes you feel good. If it's something that's stressing you out and, you know, making you tired and wearing you down and you don't want to do it, like, please rest, sleep in, don't work out. Don't work out for 7 days. I am a big pusher of that too. Your body needs rest in that aspect. So whatever you are doing, just do it for yourself and whatever's going to feel good. So
yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that was great. I want to just kind of like reframe or wrap it up. I don't know what the word is. Just clarify, I guess, or reinforce. Reinforce is probably the right word. You mentioned like sometimes you'll just do like a 20-minute workout, and that vacation or not, like so many people, I hear it all the time. Well, it's like, if I'm not going to do a 45-minute hour workout, I'm just not going to work out. It's like, how is that even logical, right? 20 minutes, something is better than nothing. And then even if you're on a vacation or if you're on a trip, when like, you know, you do want to enjoy everything, like you can do both, but your workout, because you are on vacation, it doesn't need to be the whole day. Like it can be in and out. And even just like every day, there are so many effective workouts that it's not always about how long you work out for. It's about the quality of your work, which is really important. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. And I feel like I was going to say something else, and then my brain went sideways. So,
well, I have one more thing to say about that. Also, if you travel with kids, like little kids, my daughter's super social and she loves playing at the gym, child cares, and she loves school and all that stuff. So also, it's part of her day too. When we go to a gym, if we do a family pass or whatever, she gets to play on all her stuff and play with the kids. And she has a great time getting away from us while we get to go work out and we get to work out together. So, I mean, it's fun for everyone and she loves it. And it's good for her, especially if we're in the hotel most of the day. Like, you know, yeah, it's good for all of us. My whole family loves it. So I highly recommend that. Yes.
That's so awesome. Well, Sara, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Please let people know, actually before that, is there any last minute comments, topics, or anything you kind of want to end with to throw in? And then we'll talk about where people can find you.
I think that on-the-go lifestyles and traveling are basically the exact same thing. So even if you're on the go all day at home and you never leave your hometown, that is still just as hard as traveling. So, and especially when your routine is all over the place, if you have a lifestyle that's not your average 9 to 5, whatever, just be prepared. Like Tony said, make a plan and stick to it. It's going to feel good. Do what feels good. And just be prepared for an unprepared life, basically. That's what I've learned. And nothing catches me off guard anymore because I don't let it. And I've already been through all of those scenarios and I don't let it happen anymore. So I know what I need to do to stay on track, to reach my goals, to feel good, whatever that might be, and I do it. So I just highly recommend making a plan and sticking to it. Because like I said earlier, so many people don't know how good it feels to feel good. And that breaks my heart. And like, that's what I live for, is with clients and helping them reach that point where I don't care what you look like in the mirror. I don't care what the scale says. But when you feel good and your body is properly working, everything's working well and doing the right thing, and you're hydrated and you're fueling with proper food and nutrition, and you're working out, you're sweating and you're doing all these things, that is the best feeling, the best high. You can't buy that. You can't create that unless you're actually doing it. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you know. But if you don't know, you have to try and give yourself a lot of time to figure it out, trial and error and practice and getting knocked down and starting again. I start again all the time. That's okay. So just, that's my last tip, I guess, is just find out for you what it is that's going to feel good and roll with it and run with it. So
that was perfect, Sara. Thank you so much. That was really, really great. How would people, if people have follow-up questions and they want to reach out to you, where should they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Sara, Sara.Beth.Thomas, or just search like Sara Thomas. You'll find me eventually. It's like the most common name ever, but
well, I'll put the direct link in the show notes so that way people don't get lost.
Yeah, and you can DM me anytime. Like, I love to answer questions. I'm here to talk. Nothing is a stupid question. Ask me anything. It gets me super jacked. So yeah, I'm always here to talk.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And guys, if you're not following her, follow her. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, definitely subscribe. If anything we said here resonated with you, take a screenshot, share it on your story, tag me, tag Sara. Let us know what it was that maybe you're going to make a change now. Maybe there was something that was said that inspired you to do something better, to be different. Let us know. All right. Thanks so much for listening. As always, I'm Toni Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.